Hey y'all, it's me, and this is part 2 of So I Married a Con Artist. So after my ex-husband retired from the military, he went to a recruiting seminar in Texas, and he got hired on with a company called AmeriGas in Bakersfield, California. And that's when we all moved here. And he hated his job at AmeriGas. All he ever did was talk about how much he hated his job. He complained constantly. He was always leaving work and going and doing things, getting massages, leaving work, and just always complaining. So the first Christmas that he worked at AmeriGas, he did not get a bonus. And shortly thereafter, I noticed that there were lots of packages that kept piling up in our garage. And I asked him, what's going on with all those packages? It was like Ring cameras, Nest carbon monoxide detectors, tools, toolboxes, power tools. I mean, tons of shit. And he's like, oh, that's just stuff from work. I don't want it to get stolen, from the storage. So I have it, here in the garage. And I was like, okay. And I didn't think anything of it. Well, one day he's like, hey, we have these Nest carbon monoxide detectors. These are for the house. Let's put them up in the ceiling. So I was like, great. Sounds fantastic. So we're up on the ladder. We're putting the Nests in the ceiling. And my ex-husband gets a phone call from one of his coworkers at AmeriGas. And they're like, oh my gosh, somebody has been stealing from AmeriGas. And my ex-husband was like, what? And he says, yeah, somebody's been using their corporate credit card to buy all kinds of stuff. And they found out, and they're coming down tomorrow, and they are going to fire them, whoever it is. So my ex-husband's like, oh my gosh, if you find anything out, let me know. And he hangs up the phone. And then he looks at me and he goes, Heather, take those Nest things down off the ceiling. And I said, what? And he goes, take them down. He gets really upset. And I said, what's going on? He goes, okay, listen, all that shit in the garage, I stole it. All right. They didn't give me a Christmas bonus. And so I decided to take my own. I'm not talking a little bit of stuff, y'all. I'm talking thousands and thousands of dollars. I would estimate probably $20,000, maybe $10,000 to $20,000 worth of stuff in my garage. And he's like, I stole it. You and the children need to help me and take it all back so I don't get busted. And I was like, absolutely fucking not. No. You made this bed, you're going to lay in it. You go deal with this yourself. And so this man spent the next 3 or 4 hours taking trips back and forth between our house and AmeriGas headquarters, which was on Union in Bakersfield. And when he was done returning all the shit that he had stolen, he ripped the CCTV security system out of the AmeriGas building, and he brought it home and had my children go out to the driveway and smash it with hammers. And then he took the busted up CCTV systems and threw them in the dumpster down the street. Now, I didn't know anything about the hammers until I was talking to my children about making this series, and my son said, oh my gosh, yeah, when he brought those back, we broke them in the driveway with hammers. So not only did he steal, then he involved my children and implicated them as accomplices. So my ex-husband is a con artist, and weeks before this event happened, he had already decided that he was going to fake a nervous breakdown so that he could get workman's comp and get out of his job because he hated it so much. So he had gone to this place in Bakersfield called Aspire, and it was a 30-day outpatient mental health institution that you could sign up for, and you could attend every single day outpatient for job-related stress. So the next day when he goes to the AmeriGas and the corporate people had come down and they questioned him about all the things that he had bought, he said, oh, it's all here. It's all for AmeriGas. It's all supposed to, be for this location. New cameras, new carbon monoxide detectors. And they found everything he had purchased except a steam mop. So he called my daughter and made her pretend to be an employee of AmeriGas and asked her if there was a steam mop at the Lebec location and to bring it to him because he needed it. So my daughter drove the steam mop to AmeriGas and gave it to her dad. And then, even though he had returned everything, they still started to fire him anyway. So the man faked a nervous breakdown and said, I have to leave, claiming that his military disability and his PTSD was so bad and that they were highly triggering him and that he had to leave. And he went directly to Aspire and checked himself into a 30-day mental health job-related stress program. And when he got done with his 30-day outpatient program, he eventually did get terminated, and he filed for workman's comp and won $15,000. And then he sued AmeriGas for wrongful termination and violating his Americans with Disabilities Act rights. And this is the lawsuit. And y'all, if he didn't win and settle with AmeriGas out of court. And I told him when we got divorced that I had kept his secrets, that I knew that he had stolen and I had kept his secrets. So I wanted half of his settlement. And he agreed, and it was in our divorce. I have a court order for 1/2 of any settlement proceeds awarded to husband associated with his pending AmeriGas lawsuit. And I found out that even though he stole and he was terminated with good cause, he got like $40,000 from AmeriGas, and he should have given me half, but he didn't. So I've been trying to find him because after he separated and got divorced from his third wife, he's now living with a woman somewhere in the Lompoc, Santa Maria, California area, and he won't give me his address, so I can't have him served because I know he owes me this money. So a few months ago, a check came in the mail that came from South Carolina Child Support Services. Because you see, I'm not my ex-husband's first wife. I'm his second wife. And his first ex-wife, she still owes him a lot of money in child support. And so the check was for like $6,000. So I texted him and said, listen, if you endorse this check over to me and just give me this child support money, we'll call the AmeriGas thing settled. Because I knew I wouldn't be able to find him. And he agreed. And then I told him I would give him some paperwork showing that it was settled and that I wouldn't go after him for the money. But if he comes back and claims that like he didn't owe me the money or there was no settlement or that I didn't settle, I have receipts because we were arguing about how he wanted to borrow my car to come see the kids. And he asked me, when are you going to send over the paperwork on the agreement that we had with the so-called AmeriGas settlement? And unlike my husband, I keep my word. So I'm not going to go after him in court for half of the AmeriGas settlement. But who knows? Maybe this series will get really popular and, I'll be able to figure out a second job that I'll be able to pay my child support, because I suspect that after all of these episodes drop, that my ex-husband will likely lose his job. And that affects me because he pays me child support and alimony. But y'all, it's worth it. It's worth it to be free. And I wonder how AmeriGas would feel that they were so bamboozled, that they settled with this con artist and gave him so much money after he stole. You were right, AmeriGas. You were right. He did steal and he planned on keeping all of it. And the only reason you didn't catch him is because one of his coworkers gave him the heads up. Anyway, the episodes that are about to drop are even more juicy, so keep watching.